I think, wait.
Hello, everyone. This is Zen. Welcome to the Zen Lounge podcast. Today, we have a special guest, and it's a special day. It's the beginning of the summer solstice. It's happening as I speak. We have a quantum wellness coach. She's also a member of the Zen Lounge. We have Lauren Bradley with us. She's also a big XRP believer. I want to ask her about that. But Lauren, please tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Am I muted? Hi,
Yep.
guys. My name is Lauren Bradley, and I am a big believer in XRP, so that's kind of why I'm here. And in addition to that, I am a quantum wellness coach, and I practice two modalities. One aspect of it, I work with mineral balance and circadian rhythm, and then meld all of that together with emotional repatterning, because I believe that wellness is very much so not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's spiritual. And also it's directly dialed into nature and our environment. And on the flip side of that, I also do biomagnetism sessions, which also utilize quantum principles. And in my biomagnetism sessions, I work with RNA and DNA repatterning, and basically the frequency of the body and how to shift and change the frequency of the body from like the microorganism level, because we are a bunch of microorganisms in this skin suit, all the way up to the frequency level of transgenerational inheritances and patterns, and how to repattern your emotions, how to repattern the emotions that you might not have generated yourself, that you might have inherited from your ancestors, in the same way that you inherit brown hair or green eyes or blue eyes. You also inherit all of the memories of your ancestral lineage, and that becomes a set point in your DNA. So we work within those constraints and those confines and shift and change to reach more freedom in the level of expressing frequency.
Well, it seems like we're going to go deep in this episode.
Yeah.
It seems like we're going to be talking about some mind-blowing topics. Before we go too deep into the quantum, you sent me this image and I want to put it up.
Yeah.
And I want to know how long have you been holding XRP? How long have you been part of the community? And what makes you such a big believer in XRP and the XRP ledger?
Yeah. So I think that what I love about this community is it's a bunch of people who are really on a similar wavelength of unfolding into their highest potential. And I think that XRP really lends itself to that. And there's a frequency match between this currency and why there's only a certain amount of us that are holding this currency. So I came upon XRP sort of during my healing journey. And I think a lot of you can relate. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the community that's had to rearrange life and kind of purge the old world and step into more sovereignty and step into more of self-actualization. So that happened to me through a healing crisis where I got very sick, chronically sick, and of course the medical industrial complex had no answers for me. No doctor could really help me, and soon I found out that no alternative doctor could really help me. So I went down my own rabbit hole, and part of the rabbit hole that I went down, because healing is multidimensional, it's not just physical, was really value. And as I was healing the physical things in me, I started to understand connections between value and sort of what XRP has to offer. So I happened upon XRP. I had a dream that I am like Christine Lagarde came to me in a dream. I didn't even know who she was. I was like, what's happening? And she had told me, along with like some spirit guides, that like everything is set in place and we're moving forward with the new monetary system. This is in 2015. And I was like, oh, wow. I was taking a walk the next day and I was like, this is.
You said 2015 you had this vision?
That's when I had the dream. And she said, everything is set and we're ready to go. And I was like, all right. So then I didn't know really what to make of it because I wasn't financially fit at that point. And I also wasn't physically fit at that point in terms of the wellness that I've had to create from then till now. And also the financial fitness that I had to step into. So anyway, I didn't really know what it all meant. And I set my sights to find this one coin that was going to be pennies on the dollar that I was supposed to get. And I kept looking and I was like, is it Cardano? No. Is it Monero? No. And I was doing all this research and talking to people that were kind of Bitcoin people and going to like Bitcoin meetings. And then everybody was like, so do you want to join the Ethereum community? And I was like, oh, no, I don't know why, but I don't. And I don't know why none of this makes sense until I happened upon XRP. And then I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is it. So I purchased some right after the pandemic started. And I found it from another healing colleague.
This was like a 5-year journey that you're on.
Yeah. Well, my health journey was very in depth. And what I'm going to share with you guys today is really what I've gleaned from my health journey and how we can step into more and more of wellness just by syncing our rhythm to the rhythm of the cosmos on all levels. So anyway, where was I? So yeah, I figured out what the coin was. It's XRP. And then after that, I ran into like your Instagram. And then I was like, oh my gosh, these people are like in my head. They're saying the exact same thing as me. Like, this is so crazy. Like, I thought I was nuts, because I was very esoteric about it. And I was very energetic about it. And that was my set point. And I knew that I had to find this quantum energy and link myself with it.
That's a pretty amazing story and an incredible journey of how you basically came across XRP. I love hearing people's story about, how they come across it. Always a magical experience for the people I talk to, at least. Maybe it's just our community. But yeah, it feels like, it feels good. It feels good. So, you had some cool connections to talk about with the solstice. Do you want to get into that? Where's a good place to start?
Yeah. So my healing journey was like a series of rabbit holes to really find the root cause of everything. And so we can start. Let's look at this.
Which one?
Yep.
This one?
This one's good.
Okay.
This one or the one before?
The one before?
The one after, I mean. Yeah, this one. Okay, so let's just start where we are today. And where we are today is the June solstice. So we're at the summer solstice. I'm going to go into all of this in terms of how it's all, how it's the root origin of creating wellness from our evolutionary biology, from how our DNA has been evolved over millennia and millennia and millennia. So basically everything is energy and vibration and frequency. And we are in constant connection with nature, and we've lost that connection with nature. We've lost that rhythm of natural life due to being basically domesticated, right? We're domesticated into 9 to 5, like a banking lifestyle, banker's slavery lifestyle, basically. It involves our food, it involves our medicine, it involves how we conduct each day and how we conduct our years. And we've completely lost total connection to the rhythm of what fuels us and fuels our wellness. So the light and the light cycles that we live in are we're in constant communication to create homeostasis. And that constant communication is cycles within cycles within cycles. So there's kind of all of life, and then we can break it into like male, female, but that's getting really detailed because men and women are going to relate differently in terms of women having more of an extra cycle in their physiology with their menstrual cycle, and then men not having that. So anyway, the cycles within cycles are our year and our 24-hour period, and the way that the sun is traveling in our dimension and fueling us and giving us light and life. So the sun and you are having an electromagnetic bi-directional relationship. So if we look at that XRP symbol, so you want to pull that up, this is send and receive. This is the bi-directional relationship that we're having with light on a constant basis within cycles. The sun is emitting photons, and our bodies are made of cells, and then we have organelles called mitochondria, and the mitochondria are reading those photonic downloads from the sun and then beaming back to the sun and communicating back to the sun. So when we say XRP to the sun as a community, I really hope that like through this talk, I can break down exactly what that means and why we say that, because we're sort of onto something as a collective. And I want to
that was all started from Jeffrey James, so shout out to him. That's he created that username, and then it spread across the community really fast.
Jeff, XRP to the sun. Yay. Anyway, that's great. I didn't know that that's where it started. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's the one, because everyone kept saying to the moon.
Right.
We like the sun. I go to sleep pretty early. I like going to the beach. I like the sunshine. So we switched it up. We're not going to the moon. We're going to the sun and beyond.
Right. We're going to the sun and beyond. And that is going to, like, as we move forward in our awareness and in our ascension, I mean, if we want to put it that way, ascension, just so we have a context, the relationship that we develop in our consciousness with the sun is going to bring the frequency of this receive send back into our awareness, because that's really what we're doing, and that's really what is keeping us healthy. Our relationship to the sun is primary to our existence. And
hold on real quick. Are you telling me all these medical professionals that tell you to wear umbrella when you go outside and to lather yourself in sunscreen so that because the sun is harmful, you're telling me they're all full of crap?
Let's speak in code and I'll be like, send you Morse code for the letters YES.
I know a lot of people that are like highly trained in medical, and for some reason those people are scared of the sun. They think I'm crazy when I go outside in the sun all day and I don't wear sunscreen. They think I'm nuts. And I look at them like, you guys are afraid of the sun, and you look at me like I'm crazy. Are you serious?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I don't think they understand the science of it, because I don't think that I don't know which banking family is in charge of the medical industrial complex. I don't think that's in their curriculum.
It's the Rockefeller family started it.
They kind of deleted all of this out of our existence. Yeah. In the beginning of time, the sun was like how we began to understand devotion, right? Because our ancestors were able to clock it and clock their lifestyle. We come from like our evolution, whatever has gone on in the last 100 years, or, you know, this short time period, goes against everything in our biology and everything into our evolution, or it goes against everything in our evolutionary biology, because we haven't really, it goes against what the flow we've been in, right? So you're a bunch of cells, and present within you is also mitochondria. And mitochondria are multifunctional, life-sustaining organelles that produce signals that convey information and processes throughout you. And they're the powerhouses of the cells. And I don't really have a slide of this one, but they're the powerhouses of the cells, and they're in charge of your energy production. So basically, it's your inner wealth. And the way in which we live life, we've been living in inflation. We are not in deflation. We're in inflation because of the diet we eat and the way in which we express ourselves on a 24-hour schedule and a 365-degree elliptic of the seasons, right? We're like not in connection with it. We're looking at screens in the middle of the night. We're eating in the middle of the night. We're like drinking and getting, you know, we're not in an evolutionary biology flow of a 24-hour period. What?
I don't want to mess up your flow, but I heard that people who have a lot of trouble sleeping at night, it's because of the blue screen from looking at the phone.
Absolutely.
But what do you do about it? Do you have like
Yeah.
the glasses, or do you turn your phone off at night? How do you like what?
So the crux of what I'm going to share with you, what do you do about it? If you 2 equinoxes ago, I got another download, the same download that I got to like be like, find this coin. I got another download, and that was like, you better get on a rhythm or it's going to go south. So if you go back to the first slide, you can see that the March equinox it's equal. And if we lived close to the equator, it would be like 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. sunrise, 6 p.m. sunset, 12 and 12, and it would be equal. But we live in different latitude and longitudes, and so it very much so fluctuates. So your question was, what do you do to combat all of this light pollution that is basically like the crux of our inflation and our devolution of our health. So on the March equinox, I woke up, or I was preparing because I was getting all these downloads, like, you have to get on a rhythm. And the rhythm is you need to start to see sunset or sunrise and sunset. You need to get sun in the middle of the day, and then you need to shift your diet. And it all works together, because we'll get into it later, how the diet works. But first and foremost, in terms of your question, and in terms of the blue light, we're being bombarded by blue light right now, which is the peak of a day. So I don't have a slide for this, but the way that the sun works on a 24-hour period is like a symphony of notes. It starts in the morning with the spectrum. So it starts with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then in midday it goes to ultraviolet A and B, and then at sunset it goes back down: purple, indigo, green, yellow, orange, red. And it's this perfect song that happens every single day. So if you imagine, like, the red bell rings, now the orange and red bell rings together, and it's making it's singing together, and it goes on for the whole rainbow. And then you, at the end of the day, we're left with the red bell only. So when we look at screens in the middle of the night, we're getting noontime information, and we're like telling our bodies that it's noon. And our bodies are reading that at like a cellular level, and every single cell has a clock in it, and it's like getting all screwed up. It's like if you put a rooster in a dark room and you were like, good morning, when are you gonna crow or make your rooster noise, right? And the rooster's like, I don't know what fucking time it is. What's happening? And he doesn't do his job. Each one of your
They do this
cells,
in casinos. They like suppress the light so it feels like it's, messes up your whole time. Yeah, that's
yep,
pretty
yep.
crazy. So do you have
So
like do you do the blue light glasses? Do those work?
yep. So I get up in the morning. So if you look at the March equinox, that's when I decided I'm going to shift. And I wake myself up for sunrise. Sometimes I go back to bed. It just depends on what you like to do, because sometimes, I mean, the goal would be to like get up, do your day, jump into cold water, swim in a river, whatever, to really access your evolutionary biology, right? But I like to fall back asleep. I'll get up, watch the sunrise for 20 minutes, and then I will fall back asleep, have a dream or two, and then wake up an hour later, and then make sure that I get midday sun. And then when the sun starts to set, I go outside again and I get it in my eyes and I watch the colors
You got
disappear.
a slide for that, right?
Yeah.
There
So,
it is.
yeah.
They
Oh,
say when you do sun
what?
gazing, you're only supposed to do like look at the sun at certain times of the day, right? Like early in the morning and then also at night.
Yeah.
You could actually stare at the sun and it won't mess you up.
Yeah.
But if you do it like at 12 o'clock in the day, you sun gaze, you'll get messed up. So
Right. 12 o'clock in the day, you want to be more of a solar panel, and you want to kind of be out there with as much skin exposed, because that gets into the minerals and gets into the minerals are triggered by vitamin D and vitamin A, and it's all based on sun exposure. But I don't want to overload. So go back to the next slide, or the slide with the rainbow.
well, this says it regulates your mood and biological clock by
Yeah,
looking at the morning sunlight.
right. So that's the
There's actually
suprachiasmatic
there's a
nucleus.
guy, what's his name? There's actually a really famous neuroscientist that talks about this all the time. When you wake up in the morning, make sure you get your morning sunlight. But this is the one?
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. So when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna get your red light first, then your orange and red, then your orange and red, or your red, orange, and yellow, etc. And you're gonna get the whole rainbow. And that's for like, if you can do 20 minutes, do 20 minutes. If you can do 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. If you can like just open your window from your bed, start there. Just start somewhere. And the goal would be to be like that supersonic guy who probably stays up, and goes to sleep when the sun goes down and is on a full schedule and doesn't look at his phone when the sun goes down, doesn't have fluorescent bulbs in the house. And really, once the sun goes down, you start making melatonin, your body is now being told to sleep, and you go into deep sleep so that you can renew yourself and you can heal yourself, and then you start over again. But this all happens on a grander scale of like the 365 degrees or 365 days of the seasons. So we have 2 equinoxes and 2 solstices, and the solstice is where we're at today, which is great. It's a great time to really like put all of this in your consciousness, because it's the brightest light of the entire year, when everything comes to awareness and you can adopt new ideas. And now we're going to go back down into balance on the autumn equinox, and then the flip side, which is the winter solstice. So your eye is the only place that your brain is exposed, and your brain is an electromagnetic receiver of light, and the sun is an receiver and emitter, and the sun is also an electromagnetic receiver and emitter. So the same way of the XRP logo, where it's going send, receive, that's what's happening through your eye. And then if you go to the next, so this one, go to this one. Okay, so So through your eye is your retina, which beams into the center of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And this is the metronome of your entire system. It's like, when you're playing piano and that thing's going to keep you on time, right? And you're making music. So this is the metronome of your entire system. And it beams, so the light beams into you through your eye, then it beams into your suprachiasmatic nucleus, then it beams to your pineal and your pituitary gland. And then they tell your cells that have their own little clocks. So you're like a bunch of cells with a bunch of little clocks, how to get onto a rhythm and perform and utilize energy, like deflationary energy, not inflationary energy. So that's really what's happening on like the biology of how the sun and you are in dialogue. So you have mitochondria, which are the organelles that produce energy. So they're just like your producers of wealth, your batteries. And they are in constant dialogue with the sun. But when we throw them off with blue light in the middle of the day, or if you're like, oh, I love to end my day with like my big screen TV and my movies, that's beaming noonday sun in your living room until you go to bed. And it's worse if you even fall asleep in front of it. You know what I mean? And then you wake up and you're like, where am I? I mean, all of your cells are like a rooster locked in a dark closet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the best strategy? So you said it before. So wake up in the morning, get a little bit of sun. Then what is the other time you want at night? In the
then
evening,
throughout the day, we've evolved to spend our time outside, and we climate control and we spend our time inside, and we have like fluorescent light bulbs because the government decided that, they wanted us to save energy. We're saving like fractions of pennies with these silly lights. But the silly lights are like the fluorescent lights are disrupting that symphony, the symphony of the rainbow that starts in the morning and then decreases in the evening, right? And so throughout the day, you want to eat your meal outside, right? Or go outside quite frequently without sunglasses. That's another thing. Sunglasses have been sold to us by a force that loves to have us line up at clinics and hospitals. It all works together because it's blocking your retina that is perceiving this sunshine, beaming it into the center of your brain, the metronome that keeps your rhythm, that tells every single cell to keep that rhythm. So we're just like, oh yeah, whatever. I love these sunglasses. I'm just going to wear them. But I quit wearing sunglasses, and it sort of sucks because I come from like a fashion background and they're a great accessory, but they mess you up.
In moderation, you could just do it just to flex sometimes, right?
Yeah. And also if you're driving and it's like noon and whatnot, but like, if you're out enjoying a meal, let's say you're having like a brunch at like 10 a.m., you should be getting all of the light, and you should be not wearing your glasses while you're like out enjoying the beauty of the dialogue, the send and receive that's happening from the sun to you and you back to the sun.
Well, people have always said, the sun is what gives this whole entire place life. And, people literally worship the sun because of that. And makes sense, total sense to me that we need the sun. And there's some vitamins like vitamin D that a lot of people are lacking. And actually, I think a lot of people that had the germ, that whole sickness,
Yep.
if you looked up, what they were lacking, a lot of them lacked vitamin D.
Yep.
So the sun would be a big help for people's immune system too. And it's like vitamin D is like a
Yeah.
hormone too. It's like more powerful than just a vitamin.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't know about. I'm not an expert. But anything else that we need to know about the sun and the solstice? Like what else do we got to know? Or
So the next part to it is your diet. And
that's
I
what I
want
want to know about the minerals too. So can I ask you about
yeah.
the mineral
Yeah.
situation?
So the next part of it, the next part of it is your diet. And and if you think so, our diet is directly connected to our currency, our fuel, and our energy, and the fact that we're energy beings, right? And we have, so we come from like a hunter and gathering past in terms of our ancestors, and we are still built like that. Our evolutionary biology moves so slowly. It's not like, hey, guess what? We just globalized and we opened up this huge super saver grocery store and you can have pineapple in February and anything that you want because we just trucked it in and we flew it in and we put it on big boats and here you go. That was not part of our evolutionary biology. We were hunters and gatherers and we lived a lifestyle of basically fasting, feasting, and then fucking, and then repeating. Fasting, feasting, fucking, and repeating. But we got totally side railed by whoever came up with the medical industrial complex, whoever came up with the food industrial complex and the agricultural industrial complex and took us off of our evolutionary biology and put us into feeding and not fasting and not having that flow. So the way our brains work is we have microtubules in our brains, and they're the tiny little neurons that are off of bigger neurons, but they're what connect us to the electromagnetic field of everything. And if we eat too much glucose, carbohydrates constantly, and we don't get into the rhythm of fasting, feeding, fucking, repeat, fasting, if we don't get into that rhythm, then we're constantly just feeding at this trough, right? We're like domesticated animals at a trough where they just keep giving us food and food and food. And we're like, okay. And our brains are inflaming at the micro level and disconnecting us from the field, our ability to manifest, our ability to communicate telepathically, our ability to create our energetic surroundings because we're inflamed. So there's something called a G to K switch where you burn glucose, which is carbohydrates, and then you can burn fat, ketones. So I dabbled in, when I had that download of like getting the sun and the process of it, it came in conjunction with shifting my diet and adding fasting into my lifestyle so that I could give my brain a break, and it should, so it's not so inflamed all the time, so I can start reconnecting to the field and replugging in and having more speedy manifestations. And also my brain able to comprehend everything that's going on. So think about what we just went through in terms of the whole 9 yards of this whole bamboozle, and everyone's like, I don't get it. I mean, maybe we should get the juice. I think we should get the juice again. I think that we should get it again. Their brains aren't thinking correctly and they're not able to deduce and discern because everybody's eating bagels and sugar and also mineral dysregulation comes after that. But the brain is unable to decipher what's what. And so people fall into the trap of like turning into an NPC, basically, right? So what we want to do is we want to like rewild ourselves and start to look at the way we take in fuel as a deflationary perspective rather than an inflationary perspective, because when we're producing ATP, our currency, when we burn glucose, which is sugar and carbohydrates, we get 36 units of energy. And when we burn fat, we get 120 units of energy. So basically, if you put that in monetary terms, do you want a 30-cent dollar, or do you want a dollar that's worth $4 every time you get a dollar? Right? I want a dollar worth $4, because that is then I can like repair my cells, remain healthy, connect into the field, and manifest. So the goal, because we do want to utilize glucose for our cells. If you think about the word carbohydrate, it's basically a carbo is hydrating and hydrating our cells. So it's putting water into our cells, right? And where the water goes, toxins are also going to flow, right? And so you have this grab bag of everything. You have the nutrients, you have the water and the minerals, and then also the toxins from the glyphosate, the pharmaceuticals in the water, the high fructose corn syrup, the additives. All of that stuff is also going to go into our cells as well. So as we shift our diets to using both fuel sources, we can like have moments of draining our cells during ketosis, when we are spending time using fat as an energy source instead of sugar. And we can drain that all out so that we can burn up the fat within us and use that as a fuel. So it's like having like big bags, right? And being like, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna stake this. I'm gonna get returns, right? Like that's the same thing as like playing with that G to K switch and going between ketosis and burning glucose and then going back to ketosis, because you're using energy so that you can basically have an inner value that's 4 times as much. So the way that you can do that is through adopting. It's different for every person. I can't really say like, here's step 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's kind of like each person has to figure it out. It's intermittent fasting and shortening your feeding window so you're not eating all the time. And the way that I approached it personally was I stopped eating when the sun went down, and I created an 8-hour window, and that's when I had my meals. And then I had time on the back end to clean my brain, reconnect to the field, and through that process, I started to utilize ketosis, burning fat, therapeutically, so that I could train my body to use the currency that was worth $4 rather than 36 cents. So you can use intermittent fasting, and then you can also use fasting as like, maybe once a week you do a 24-hour fast. Maybe once a month you do a 48-hour fast. Maybe once a season you do a 72-hour fast. For each person, it'll be different according to their whole chemistry within themselves. But we want to, as an overall, start to look at the fuel systems and the currency that we use, how to go from these two switches, from burning sugar to burning fat, and then also how to metabolically switch. That's like the main goal, because if we just eat carbs all day long, like the government has those pyramids and they're like, you know what, you should eat 11 servings and you should eat a waffle and orange juice and a Pop-Tart for breakfast, and you should have a sandwich, and you should have, all this, you know, pasta for lunch, and then for the evening you should have more pasta, and then you should have a drink, which is a carbohydrate, and then you're on a
Call
wheel,
it the
right?
SAD diet, right? The
Yeah.
standard American diet, the SAD diet.
Yeah, so now you're on a wheel and your brain is inflamed and more inflamed and more inflamed. You're less connected to the source of everything, the field. You're less connected to that dialogue between you and the sun, that dialogue where the sun is going to beam photons to you, to your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are going to pick up on it and then say, you know what, guys, this is how we're going to run the show. We're going to heal this, this, and this, repair this, this, and this, take these cells that are not optimal and transmute them and break them down and burn them, and then wait for a new generation of cells that are stronger and better and faster. So you're in that flow, right?
So can you hook up the Zen Lounge Discord health channel with like the supreme lifestyle plan to get all these minerals, all these vitamins, and all the healthy fats that keep us going, keep our batteries going? Because we're gonna need lots of energy once when these things move and we want to go on these vacations all over the world. You got to have energy, right? So we've talked in private a lot about minerals, and we're big fans of healthy fats, and you're also a big fan of breast milk. So tell us about breast milk real quick.
Well, breast milk. Okay. So that's a really amazing segue. That's how we met, right? Like I was like in your DMs and I was like, you know what? I think you got it right. I think you got it right. So to sort of swing in a little bit of minerals, basically the key to mineral balance, and this is like sort of quantum physics for your inner banking system, is the management of oxygen. And you do that through this thing called the electron transport chain. So it's real quantum, where like you get electrons from food, and then they go through these processes to make you energy through oxygen turning into water, which is alchemy, right? So you're alchemizing in your system. The two main minerals that are the chief organizers of this are copper and iron. And we are super iron toxic because of the entire program, the like slavery cartel style timeline that we're trying to get out of. And we don't have enough copper. And the bridge between the two is fat, and it's called retinol. And to answer your question about breast milk, when you breastfeed a baby, it's a retinol download from the mother to the child to set you up for this alchemy that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, right? So fat in our diet, retinol from animal tissue, vitamin A, not beta carotene. You know how they say,
it's a big thing that a lot of people, confuse vitamin A, that is actually a byproduct of animal fat. Like you can't, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? The beta carotene, and also the beta carotene one, most people cannot absorb that.
3% at best. You are basically, if you're getting your vitamin A from like beta carotene sources, you're getting 3% of retinol, which you need to alchemize oxygen into water for your body to turn into a liquid crystal so you can communicate to the sun. That's basically what's happening on the quantum level. You are getting 3% of that at best. And that's at best. And most people can't convert to get to the full 3%. So it's not carrots that are helping your eyesight. It's literally animal fat that's quantum entangling with the sun, allowing you to alchemize your inner value. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense to me. I've gone down this rabbit hole. I researched it, and the the fats are really, really important. And you'll notice people that have a lot of anxiety, they get onto these healthy fats, they notice their whole brains calm down and that disappears. I know a lot of people that had that experience with it.
Yep. I mean, and that's like the psyop of the vegan diet. And I mean, people don't like to hear this, and they, it's because it's very emotional. Veganism is very
Well, that's
emotional.
why it's so pushed by Bill Gates. We have to just
Yep.
be honest about it. That's why it's pushed by Bill Gates, and Netflix has documentaries pushing this agenda.
And they
And
make up junk science saying that, like, oh, you're going to get diabetes from, the meat and the eggs, which is ridiculous, because you get diabetes from basically not having fat. Your brain is a fat organ that runs on fat, that connects to the field via fat. So when you cut the fat out, it's like counterintuitive, and it's a complete psyop. I mean, I'm sorry, vegans, I love you. I'm not trying to be mean, but you really need to start getting your bacon on. You know what I mean?
well, I'm about to
Bacon,
have a lot of pissed
pepper.
off people watching this video. Every time I
I
talk
mean,
about these subjects, people get super pissed and offended. And that's the whole point of being Zen, right? Having an open mind to new perspectives. And if you
yeah,
have an open mind to new perspectives, then, unsubscribe and oh well, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole point, is to talk about taboo subjects here. So
yeah,
that was something that helped my health a lot, learning about this. I've walked multiple different paths, and big fan of, you saw me post the cod liver oil too.
yeah. Cod liver
That
oil
has
is
the cod liver butter has some secret vitamin in it. It's
retinol.
vitamin, but also the vitamin K2 or K3. What is it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's
That
basically,
one literally helps people. I've heard rumors that people, because there's a doctor named Paul Weston Price. He was actually a
uh-huh.
dentist, and he was studying,
Weston A. Price.
there are
Yes.
certain people, all these Aborigine tribes had perfect bone structure, perfect dental health, perfect jaw lines, perfect teeth, and they never had dental assistance. And he went and studied all their diets, and he found that vitamin K2 was one of them. I think K2 was one of them that helped people regrow back cavity. Like if the people have cavities, you could actually reverse the symptoms of a cavity with vitamin K2 and some fats, I believe, like a combination of a few things. And
Yep.
there's lots of case studies and stories about that. And, look at Americans' dental health. Lots of people got to get braces. According to his research, it's because of our nutrition. And you get people on the right nutrition, they could reverse cavities and strengthen their, dental health. That's a really cool Weston A. Price, if you want
Weston
to
A.
look more
Price
into it. He
Foundation.
has regenerative nutrition book, I think it's called. And that's where I basically went down a lot of these rabbit holes. And, I started to learn about bone broth and all the benefits of bone broth, all types of stuff. So that was ancestral eating. I'm a big fan of, but yeah.
Yeah. So to soothe the vegans a little bit, Weston A. Price, in his research, and I'm sure you came about this as well as you were looking into it, he studied all of the tribes, all of across the globe, and then sort of across different timelines, and not one tribe was vegan. Not one tribe. And if they were vegan and they did rely on like carbohydrates and fruits, etc., it was somewhere on the equator where the sun
Super
was more
tropical, right?
even. Yeah, where the sun was more even, because you know if you if you look at the image that's on the screen now, the way that the sun travels in that elliptic, that's turn on its side of the other image of when we have the equinoxes and the solstice. And within this, remember I said in the beginning, there are cycles within cycles. So there's your daily cycle, and then there's your yearly cycle. So according to your latitude, and everyone's going to have a different latitude. Someone in Chicago versus somebody like myself in Los Angeles, or yourself in Las Vegas, where we get a considerable more amount of sun. We're going to have different ways that we interact with our food as we travel this 365-degree elliptic. So You know why in the Bible? So I've been researching the Bible and I'm like, it's a quantum biology manual, basically. That's what it is. And it just has a bunch of stories. And the stories are like little allegories about like quantum biology. But if you look on in every single religious text, they have time periods of fasting to get closer to God, the electromagnetic field, source of all, with themselves, their electromagnetic field through their microtubules in their brains. And they go through a period of time to fast and connect within this 365 seasonal, 4-season elliptic. And then also, if you look at, so back to our like inner banking system, which is our electron transport chain, which creates our energy. The sun is communicating with all of life. So it's communicating with us, and it's also communicating with the plants and the animals and the ocean and the everything, right? So the way that the crops grow throughout the year in your locale, so now we're talking about epigenetics, your environment, we should reattune ourselves to that. So like, you know how you're like, you know what, we're gonna have a Christmas party. I'm gonna make a pineapple upside down cake. It's like, well, what the fuck? Where did you get that pineapple in December in Chicago? It makes no sense to eat that pineapple in Chicago in December. It's the same thing as looking at your blue light at midnight from your phone before you sleep, right? It throws your body off because you are in like a quantum exchange. So it's called quantum tunneling. The light is quantum tunneling. It's like moving through seemingly solid barriers to communicate with us. So the light is communicating to you and your metronome and your entire circadian rhythm via the electrons, the nutrients in food that you eat. So in addition to attuning to your day and sunrise and sunset and focusing on fats and carbohydrates and switching those things and creating cycles there, we have to look at the seasons and eat seasonally. So now it's like the summer solstice. So I'm having peaches, I'm having blueberries, I'm quantum entangling with the light via how the light communicated to the blueberry plant. And now it's communicating to me and communicating to my cells, similar to the diagram of receive send of the XRP logo, right?
That's why I just kind of I get in tune with myself, because when I go to Hawaii and I'm on like the beach,
Yep.
I feel like I could live on coconuts. I'm just like, give me some
Yeah.
coconuts. I'm gonna drink coconuts all day. I might have some pokey at night here and there, but most of all, I'm craving like fruits and stuff when I'm in like the tropical environment.
Yep. Yep. But if you're in Chicago and you're like, you know what, I just really want to eat fruits all day, it's like your body's gonna be like, what the hell's going on? You know, like what day is it?
Well, like in the middle of winter, like those don't even grow there during that time. It
Right.
would be physically impossible for like the
Right.
native people to even get their hands on that stuff, you know, like
Right.
we're kind of disconnected from this whole, you know, basically to sum up this whole conversation, I think it's all about like remembering, you know, how nature really works and operates, and getting back into that rhythm of, you know, we become so denatured. We have air conditionings and nice houses, but you know, all our roots are, you know, running around hunter gatherers, and that's how far back time goes. And you know, they were out there getting sun every single day, you know.
Yeah. And they were getting cold in the winter and they were dealing with it. And, you know, that's another thing. We don't even really deal with cold. But if we go back to the symbol of the XRP, and if we look at image number 5, now I'm going to really get quantum on you guys just to sort of tie it in. You know, once we understand these cycles within cycles that we can harmonize with and tune our inner rhythm with and have that receive send dialogue with nature, then we can really get woo and look at like quantum we can look at quantum. So put up the image number 5, the one that's like that one. No, go back. So we see this a lot, right? I'm sure everybody in the community has seen this and seen it in terms of XRP, right? So what this is this is a black hole and a white hole on top of each other, like, right? Like, and at their horizons is a wormhole, and it transports from one universe to the next. So once our microtubules are clean and we can connect to the field, we have access to this. We have access to creating whatever we want to create from one universe to the next, where we find that point of singularity in the center, that Einstein-Rosen bridge. So go to the next one, it's a wormhole. This is an Einstein-Rosen bridge, and it's a shortcut between two different space-times and two different universes. So if you look at this image and then remember back the XRP image, that's kind of what it really is. And this is, you know what I'm saying? And this is the same thing as the way in which we're interacting with nature and interacting with photons, with light, XRP to the sun and mitochondria having conversations within us and moving from one dimension to the next, because we are now the quantum surfers of our reality.
So you're telling me this will help people manifest things into reality?
So I wrote this down. So wormholes are in fact such weird shortcuts that bridge extreme distances of the range of many light years and make journey possible within a few hours. That's the definition of a wormhole, this picture that you're looking at. So if you think about XRP, isn't that exactly the definition of XRP? But transferring value?
So let me ask you this. Someone is listening to this and they're really into this and they want to upgrade their health and become a quantum surfer, like you said. Mm-hmm. You do coaching sessions, or what do you do? Workshops? What do you do? What websites do you have? How can people find you?
Well, I'm really active on Instagram, and I'm kind of like always being like blah 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 and writing out a lot of things on Instagram. So you can check out my Instagram, and then also check out the backlog. So you can just sort of go down and click images and read about things. I designed that on purpose, so it would have like a little bit of a library type of a vibe, where you can be like, oh, I want to learn about copper, oh, I want to learn about retinol or whatever. So you can dive down. And then what I do is I have sessions with people, and we didn't touch on it too extensively in terms of minerals, because I really wanted to highlight the light aspect of everything in this discussion, because it's the solstice and it's a great way to celebrate. But so I take on clients, and then I show you how to rearrange and rewild so that you can get on that rhythm and harmonize your circadian biology, the minerals within you through different supplements and eating techniques and whole food sources of vitamins and minerals. And then, of course, this is a talk for another day, but the emotions and frequency are really what drive everything within us. And it might even drive the fact that like your supplements aren't going to work for you because you're not on the same frequency. So we really look in my sessions, I really tie in that sort of emotional frequency element so that we can clear the way and harmonize and up level. And one way that I do that is in my coaching sessions with the minerals and the circadian, but then also I do quantum biomagnetism. That is an energy modality. And what I'm doing is working with you and your body, where we put your body in charge, and I use long distance kinesiology, and I dialogue with your body to find microbial equations that need to be neutralized via the pH in your different organs. And then also the emotions that are connected to that, and the programming that's connected to that at the RNA and the DNA level. And we get into like sometimes very physical things. It depends on where your body wants to go. We get into very physical things. And then on the flip side of it, we could get really woo and into like technological implants and all sorts of different dimensional things. And then sort of in the middle of it all, we're really going to focus on emotions and transgenerational programs in the DNA, so we can alter those and shift those so that you can start living more optimally and in harmony and attuned with nature and attuned to your highest value and your highest level of wellness.
Well, Lauren is also a member of the Zen Lounge Discord, so if you guys have questions for her, you could tag her and we could talk on Discord some more. Or I'll put her links in the description below for people that want to sign up for coaching. Anything else important that we need to bring up during this stream, or have we covered everything?
Well, you know what? Let's look at the
This one right here.
So this diagram, this is another way to express that logo, right? And this is Einstein's teacher came up with this, and this is a space-time diagram. And it's another way to express that sort of wormhole of like a future cone and a past cone and their intersection in the now. And really, like this is the crux of why we hold this frequency, you guys. This is the wealth that lives within us that we have access to. And as we access that wealth within us, then it's going to mirror outside of us, and it's going to appreciate in value outside of us. And we're going to connect to physical abundance because we have inner abundance that we've cultivated. So at this time right now, I think it's really a great, especially when the markets are like low or whatever, it's a really wonderful time to go inside and create the value of what we hold within ourselves, because that's what's going to make it mirror and project out into our realities outside of us.
Like we say, health is wealth, right?
Yep. If you don't have health, you're not going to enjoy your wealth. And I'm speaking from experience. I had like the worst, most thorough path that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's not fun. So if you're not ill right now, it makes sense for you to start implementing these concepts. If you are ill right now, it also makes sense for you to implement these concepts, because you want to ultimately be fully expressed in wellness. Because if you're not, you're going nowhere. I can tell you for a fact.
Well, Lauren, it was great to have you on. We've been over an hour on the stream, so would love for you to come back and put together another presentation if you still have. I feel like you have a lot more things to share, but we should save it for another episode. You're welcome back. Put together a presentation. We could do it again, and we're gonna have the most healthy Zen Lounge crew ever, so we could really enjoy all the wealth. So, Lauren, it was awesome. I'm gonna let you go now, and have an awesome day. I'm gonna publish it to YouTube in a couple hours.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Okay. Peace.
Bye.